Trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, a judge has denied his request to delay the proceedings, and that means jury selection could start in just weeks. ABC's Phil Lipoff is tracking this case. Good morning, Phil.
Yeah, Gio, good morning. It looks like it's going to. Sean Combs' trial date is set to go on as expected Friday. A judge ruled Combs' criminal sex trafficking
Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. Today, he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up.
Nobody expected that when Sean Diddy Combs walked into that Manhattan courtroom on May 5th dressed sharp and smug like it was just another day in the life of a billionaire mogul. The entire place would flip from courtroom to comedy club in minutes. What was supposed to be a clean, quiet jury selection turned into a scene straight out of a reality show, and the man behind the madness, none other than Judge Aaron Subramanian, who had the whole courtroom laughing like it was open mic night. People weren't even sure if they were there for legal proceedings or a Netflix special. Diddy came in thinking he'd breeze through the day with his legal team in control and his sunglasses hiding half the tension, but instead he walked straight into a circus one where he wasn't the ringmaster anymore.
It's inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry.
They tried to make it just another day in court, but the moment Judge Subramanian started cracking jokes about Diddy's mile-long list of stage names and called the juror forms longer than the Lord of the Rings script, it was clear this wasn't going to be a normal trial session. Reporters scrambled like vultures on fresh meat, while Diddy sat there frozen behind his wire-rimmed glasses, not saying a word, just taking public hits, like a man watching his empire crack in real time. But the laughs were short-lived, because what came next turned the whole room cold before a single juror even raised a hand. The courtroom atmosphere shifted. Federal prosecutors dropped a bombshell accusing Combs of running a twisted hidden operation for years. 5 major felony charges, 2 of them for transporting women across state lines for illicit purposes. Another for conspiracy. The government claims Diddy wasn't just partying. He was orchestrating a system using fame, luxury, pressure, and cross-country trips to allegedly lure and manipulate young women into dark situations. They say it was strategic, deliberate, and far more sinister than anything his music ever hinted at.
But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
They say every empire hides its dirt, but according to prosecutors, Diddy's entire kingdom was built on a carefully polished illusion designed to look glamorous on the surface, while masking something way darker beneath. They claim the whole operation was engineered to benefit his brand rake in millions and protect his image, all while using layers of loyal staff shell companies and ironclad NDAs to keep the truth locked down like a vault at 55. Diddy is pleading not guilty to every single charge, insisting that anything mentioned in court was entirely consensual between adults. But if the jury doesn't buy it, he's not just facing jail time. We're talking a possible life sentence, along with the collapse of everything he's built, from the mansions to the luxury cars to the royalty checks that still roll in from his chart-topping past. And that's not even the scariest part. Assistant U.S. Attorney Rachel Collins told the court they've got the receipts and they're ready to show them all. She said jurors will be staring at a clear, undeniable pattern made up of bank records, travel logs, and chilling first-hand testimony that paints Diddy not as a playboy, but as a man in control, a man running a machine. This wasn't a mistake. She said this was a system planned and executed with intention.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Just when prosecutors thought they had the upper hand, Diddy's lawyer, Benjamin Braffman, stepped in, swinging back with a statement that shook the room. According to him, the government isn't presenting facts. They're twisting flashy adult relationships into something criminal. He argued that this isn't a case. It's a headline grab built on gossip, private drama, and exaggerated stories designed to take down a public figure who lived too large. In his pretrial statement, Braffman didn't hold back, calling the indictment a patchwork of rumors, personal vendettas, and narrative stretching from people with agendas. The 5-count indictment that now threatens Diddy's entire future didn't even surface until February, and only after a full year of deep grand jury digging powered by sealed lawsuits hacked through company emails and leaked phone data, the kind of behind-the-scenes info that could change everything depending on how it's interpreted. But prosecutors say the story is plain. They claim Combs used every luxury at his disposal, from private jets to decked-out yachts to tour buses that looked like mobile nightclubs, allegedly transporting potential partners from one city to the next, building a lifestyle that wasn't just extravagant but deeply calculated.
The government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial.
Rumors are swirling that Combs didn't just rely on charm and expensive trips. He allegedly dangled modeling gigs and roles in his music videos to reel in young women, pulling them deeper into his world. But it's not just about the luxury lifestyle. The feds are saying he used pressure, fraud, and even force to control them. Between 2016 and 2022 of the most serious charges accuse him of crossing the line into manipulation and intimidation, especially in notorious destinations like Miami, LA, and Vegas, where the luxury hotels weren't the only thing. High-end prosecutors claimed Combs set up exclusive suites, bringing in security teams whose job wasn't just to protect, but to restrict the women's freedom to come and go at will. All of it, they argue, is part of one massive operation, a so-called exploitation enterprise that lets the government stretch its net even further, with conspiracy charges now being dragged into the mix on paper. The court documents only name 3 accusers by their initials, but insiders say at least 8 more are waiting in the wings to testify. And here's the bombshell. A sealed court filing revealed that Cassie Ventura, the singer who reached a private settlement with Combs just last year, has been subpoenaed for rebuttal testimony. This case is unfolding faster than anyone could have imagined, and the stakes are higher than ever. Even with all the media attention, Judge Aaron Subramanian refused to grant a delay on the trial, saying the government had already handed over enough discovery material despite some late-filed digital evidence. But the real kicker? As the courtroom buzzed with tension, Judge Subramanian let out one final punchline about Diddy's endless list of stage names. They might just be longer than this jury questionnaire. And that's when everyone realized this trial, it's going to get a whole lot crazier before it's over.
And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
The jury questionnaire. It's no joke. 120 questions diving deep into the jurors' social media habits and their past encounters with celebrity scandals, including A.B. Case's jury selection alone, is expected to drag on for 4 days. But that's just the start of the drama. Combs made a grand entrance at the courthouse, not through the front door like a regular defendant, but through a private tunnel beneath the building, dressed to kill in a sharp navy wool suit and rimless glasses, looking like he was about to head to a runway instead of a courtroom. The man even got special permission to skip the typical jail clothes routine prison officials approved: only 2 suits, 4 ties, and 1 pair of dress shoes for the next 8 weeks of this courtroom showdown. But don't let that fool you. This criminal case isn't the only storm brewing. Since November 2023, Combs has been hit with a wave of civil lawsuits accusing him of emotional manipulation, violent behavior, and disturbing antics at parties known as freak-offs. But here's the kicker. Those lawsuits are on pause to avoid clashing with the high-stakes criminal trial happening now. Court records are dropping bombs, though, revealing heavy-hitting evidence that could flip the case in a flash surveillance footage, encrypted messages, and banking data that prosecutors claim track hush money flowing into third-party accounts. A web of cash designed to keep the truth locked down.
They're going to try and say that Diddy's mental capacity could not make it possible for him to commit these crimes, claiming that maybe drugs or alcohol could have been at fault.
Tight prosecutors claim these payments aren't just random settlements, but part of a larger, more sinister pattern of behavior that strengthens the conspiracy charge but Combs' defense team. They're calling it nothing more than standard business in the entertainment world. Routine NDA settlements, no foul play at all to back that up. They're bringing in forensic accountants who'll testify that everything was above board, no sketchy cash transfers or secretive money moves, but not everyone's buying that story. Some legal experts are drawing direct comparisons to the 2022 R. Kelly case, where the feds used similar tactics to secure a conspiracy conviction charging celebrities under RICO laws for personal conduct may be rare, but it's starting to catch on, and it's gaining steam. Loyola law professor Lori Levinson straight up said it's becoming easier to prosecute cases like this, and with the stakes rising, the indictment includes a jaw-dropping $140 million seizure targeting Combs' properties, his swanky Beverly Hills mansion, a lavish Long Island estate, and even the rights to his beloved Bad Boy Records catalog. If they pull this off, they could strip him of everything, but Combs is already making moves to protect his empire. He's handed control of several business arms to temporary managers, pulled the plug on his booze deal with Diao, and let Revolt Media install a new board as advertisers start to back away from his brands. During a March court session, prosecutor Rachel Collins laid out the evidence: 48 digital exhibits, 31 physical pieces, and almost 900 pages of financial records. She's got 4 weeks to make her case, and if the defense decides to bring in witnesses, they'll get the same amount of time to counterattack. Defense lawyer Benjamin Braffman is sticking to his guns, claiming that the accusers are nothing but disgruntled ex-insiders looking for a big payout outside the courtroom. He told reporters that they'll prove the timelines just don't match up with the accusations. One sealed defense exhibit even shows text messages from one of the main accusers thanking Diddy for changing her life and asking for career help. But prosecutors are firing back, saying these texts just prove how much financial control was part of the manipulation. They're also planning to introduce a 2019 audio recording from a studio session in LA where Diddy allegedly went off on staff after a woman tried to leave a private party. Braffman says that tape is misleading and irrelevant to the charges, and he wants it tossed out. But here's the real kicker: if Combs is convicted on just the most serious counts, he could be looking at a minimum of 15 years behind bars, and with RICO laws in play, the court could stack sentences and seize massive amounts of his assets, effectively dismantling the entire alleged criminal operation piece by piece.
Apparently, a couple of weeks ago, the prosecution offered Diddy a plea deal, which he turned down. We don't know the details of what that plea deal entailed, but he said he's not taking it. This is coming after they've added additional charges, like the second superseding indictment.
From the outside, this trial looks like a legal drama. But behind those courthouse walls, it's a slow-motion takedown of one of music's most powerful men. The U.S. Attorney's Office says this isn't just about a celebrity scandal. It's about justice for survivors and holding powerful players accountable. Combs stayed mostly silent in court, only speaking to confirm he understood the charges outside. Protest groups are gearing up for daily demonstrations, though the judge quickly shut down any loudspeakers within 100 feet of the doors. Still, the media circus is alive, and kicking monitors have already logged over 28,000 mentions across TV and online in just the first 24 hours of jury selection, and the trial hasn't even properly started yet. Finding jurors who haven't been tainted by the hype is proving to be a nightmare. Live coverage is already dominating cable networks, and streaming services are lining up their recap specials. The pressure isn't just legal, it's financial and cultural. Bad Boy Records is bleeding Spotify / 12% of Diddy's monthly listeners in April, and his fashion brand Sean John paused an upcoming collection. Industry insiders are split. Some think his brand is toast, others say his catalog might bounce back if he beats the charges like Michael Jackson's did after his trials. For now, the labels are on pause, waiting for the verdict behind the scenes. The government is pushing hard. Back in March, feds raided Combs' homes in LA and Miami, snatching up hard drives, security servers, and digital blueprints of his entire empire. His lawyers say the raids were excessive and are fighting to suppress the evidence. Judge Subramanian will rule on that motion after jury selection wraps, but prosecutors say the data they seized paints a damning picture. Private jet flight plans, exclusive guest lists, and even facial recognition to track who flew where and when. To make things worse, the IRS is digging in too, launching a quiet audit into suspicious income from invite-only parties. No tax charges yet, but court filings hint at unreported cash stacks. Combs' PR team tried to flip the narrative, saying the feds are ignoring his philanthropic work. pointing to his donations to HBCU scholarships and hurricane relief efforts, but prosecutors don't care about the good press. They're focused on what they call an ongoing criminal conspiracy that didn't end until January 2024, which legally resets the clock for all charges. Defense lawyers will argue some of the accusations are too old to count, falling outside the 10-year statute of limitations. But the judge is siding with the government for now. He's also banned the term hush money, forcing both teams to stick to the sanitized phrase privately negotiated agreements. If convicted, Combs faces a second trial phase focused on asset forfeiture, and a brutal sentencing process that could drag deep into 2026 appeals would head to the Second Circuit, the same court that upheld R. Kelly's conviction on nearly identical arguments. Jury selection resumes Tuesday, and once 12 jurors and 6 alternates are seated, opening statements begin. The court has locked in May 12th for witness testimony, and that's when it really begins, because federal prosecutors have over 20 witnesses ready to pull back the velvet curtain, from ex-employees to private jet staff, all set to testify about what happened between 2016 and 2023. They claim these stories will expose an empire built on manipulation, fear, and money trails that were never meant to be followed. Rachel Collins, the lead prosecutor, told the court that every single witness will connect the dots, showing how victims were moved across state lines and how the money kept it all quiet until now.
You know that Cassie video where you see Diddy dragging her in a hotel from 2016? The judge says that it can be included after Diddy's defense team had been trying to have it not included.
Diddy's defense team wasn't sitting quietly. Benjamin Brafman came out swinging, accusing the prosecution of ambushing them with a late witness dump names that, according to him, only came to light after those March raids on Combs' LA and Miami homes. But Judge Subramanian wasn't buying it. He shut it down fast, reminding the courtroom that under federal rules, the government doesn't have to share its full witness list until the jury is officially locked in other words. No foul play, just courtroom chess that back and forth sparked real tension on day 2 of jury selection, which, by all accounts, is moving at a snail's pace. Lawyers are digging deep into the 150-person pool, trying to find 12 clean jurors and 6 backups who haven't already been influenced by years of celebrity scandal coverage by late afternoon. Only 9 had even been tentatively approved, and every one of them had to go through a 120-question grilling that covered everything from news habits and favorite artists to their feelings about celebrity charity work. But outside the courthouse, prosecutor Rachel Collins made one thing crystal clear. The trial isn't just about bad behavior, it's about how a brand, a whole empire, was allegedly weaponized. She told reporters, "We'll show how the image of luxury was used to lure victims in, and how the glitz masked the trap underneath." This isn't just about private misconduct anymore. It's about whether Diddy used fame, money, and influence to build a machine, and whether that machine crossed the line into criminal territory.
So according to People magazine, they said prosecutors recently filed a motion disputing any testimony that might show that Sean Diddy Combs didn't have, quote, the mental capacity to commit the crimes he's accused of because of the effects of drugs or alcohol.
Rachel Collins wasn't holding back. She told the court the evidence includes encrypted messages, screenshots, and even rideshare receipts that place specific people at exact locations on the nights that matter most. She claims it's a digital roadmap proving where everyone was and when, but Brafman's not buying it. He says, "The messages are harmless back and forths about logistics, and that the rideshare data? Cherry-picked just to fit the prosecution's narrative." He called it a crafted timeline built to mislead, and the drama didn't stop there. The two sides went head-to-head again, this time over expert testimony. Prosecutors want to bring in a clinical psychologist to explain trauma bonding. The defense wants their own heavy hitter, a music industry insider, to talk about how NDAs are used routinely in the business. But Judge Subramanian said, "Hold up, he'll decide before opening statements begin." Then came the bombshell, a sealed document now partially opened, revealed that the feds subpoenaed hotel security logs from top-tier locations. Miami Beach, Las Vegas, Los Angeles logs that show who used room keys and when, and according to the government, they align exactly with nights listed in the indictment. Legal analyst Lori Levinson called it potentially devastating if those logs confirm Combs and accusers were together in restricted access hotel rooms just before the alleged incidents. Game changer. And that wasn't all. 2 of Diddy's former bodyguards have flipped. Both were granted immunity. One's expected to testify about a red code protocol allegedly used to seize phones at private parties. The other He claims he hand-delivered envelopes packed with cash to unlisted drop sites around the country, but Braffman fired back again, saying these are just disgruntled ex-employees fired for theft and now trying to dodge their own gun charges by selling stories. He says payroll records will prove they weren't wronged. They were removed for cause still. Judge Subramanian issued a sharp warning. No cheap shots. Unless backed by evidence, this trial won't become a circus of character takedowns. He said impeachment won't turn into a sideshow. Meanwhile, outside, it was chaos. Court officers had to escort jury candidates through a separate entrance just to avoid the protest line. Members of Silence Breakers held bold signs demanding justice for survivors, while on the other side, a handful of Diddy fans blasted early 2000s bad boy hits from Bluetooth speakers. But inside, a whole different atmosphere. Combs, suited in a muted charcoal gray, stayed quiet, focused only speaking to his attorneys as they reviewed jury paperwork a few rows back. His mother, Janice Combs, sat silently scribbling in a small notebook, observing every move. And then, more heat. Prosecutors introduced Olivia Grant, a financial forensics analyst who reviewed over 2,400 financial transactions linked to Combs' LLCs from 2018 to 2022, and her findings, explosive over $30 million, left those accounts labeled as consulting or event advances paid to individuals who had zero paperwork or service contracts. And it gets deeper. She traced $7.6 million from Bad Boy Touring straight into an offshore account in Nevis, which was later used to fund the purchase of a multi-million-dollar mansion in the Hollywood Hills. That home, now flagged for seizure if the case sticks. But Braffman wasn't letting that slide. He called Olivia Grant's report nothing more than speculative math, saying in the entertainment world, short-term consultants are a dime a dozen, and the Nevis account, totally legit, disclosed properly in IRS filings. He claimed that the government was trying to spin basic business practices into criminal conspiracy, but Judge Subramanian wasn't here for debates. He cut through the noise, slapped both sides with tight deadlines for expert disclosures, and demanded clean, simplified charts ready for the jury before trial day. He made it clear. No fluff, just facts. Then came the next wave. Two accusers are set to testify under pseudonyms and their claims.
The motion filed on April 27th references apparent testimony from a psychiatrist on behalf of the defense and asked the judge to prevent his testimony during Combs'.
Disturbing both say they were approached in nightclubs, lured by offers of modeling contracts, and then taken to private properties allegedly owned or rented by Combs, where things turned dark. One woman claims she was secretly recorded and threatened with a blacklist across the entire industry if she ever spoke up about what happened. The other says she was fed alcohol until things blurred out of her control, but the defense is prepping for the blowback. They say they've got email chains showing those same women thanking Combs, calling him a life-changing mentor, and even requesting extra cash for travel. Braffman says the tone of those emails tells a different story entirely, one of consent, ambition, and mutual benefit. But Collins, she shut that down hard. Those emails, she said, don't show gratitude. They show dependence, manipulated by financial control, and she's not alone. Music rights attorney Dina Lept weighed in from the sidelines, saying this trial is ripping open the blurred lines between business and personal boundaries in the celebrity universe, where fame, power, and loyalty constantly get twisted. Then came the final blow from Collins. She looked straight at the jury pool and said something that cut deep. This case isn't about what's gross, it's about what's illegal. She told them their job isn't to decide if Combs was a sleazeball, it's to decide if his actions crossed the line into crime. And outside the courtroom, the ripple effect was immediate. Sean John, Combs' legacy fashion brand, put the brakes on its summer drop. No public statement, just a quiet freeze. Spotify took it a step further, slapping warning labels on Diddy's songs with direct links to the latest news coverage, Bad Boy Records. Radio silence, no comment, but financial analysts say the silence won't save the royalties. If major platforms start burying his catalog, his earnings could take a massive hit. We've seen it before. When R. Kelly was convicted in 2022, his streams dropped 19% in 6 weeks. But here's the twist. A portion of that audience came creeping back later, and just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate further, boom, the IRS jumped in again. filing a notice with the court saying if Combs is convicted, they plan to submit a restitution claim. They're already neck deep in a parallel audit tied to income from those infamous freak-off parties. And while no tax charges have landed yet, the prosecutors made one thing crystal clear: if the evidence stacks up, they will supersede the indictment and drop a second hammer. Judge Subramanian wasn't playing games. He dropped another ruling that's raising eyebrows. Any new civil settlements between Combs and his accusers, they'll have to be filed under seal. No exceptions his reason. To stop any backdoor witness intimidation, the message was loud and clear. This courtroom isn't about press power plays or side deals. It's about facts and law. And just to make sure the circus stays outside, he reminded everyone, no cameras allowed inside the courtroom. Only courtroom sketches will capture the trial's energy. Renowned illustrator Elizabeth Williams confirmed she'll be dropping daily artwork through the official media pool, capturing every glare, every smirk, every explosive moment, but security. That's another story. Federal marshals pulled the curtain back during a closed-door session, revealing that social media threats have triggered heightened security protocols, but they assured the judge Combs isn't in immediate danger. While inside the building, the drama outside, though, that's another beast. Meanwhile, inside the court, with jury selection crawling into Wednesday, Judge Subramanian had enough. He told the attorneys, speed it up. No delays, no excuses. Court resources aren't infinite, and if you stall, you pay the price. As of now, 9 jurors are locked in. More interviews are scheduled for the next round, and the heat is building because we're just days away from opening statements tentatively set for May 12th, and with key rulings on expert witnesses still pending, the tension is only going to climb. One thing's for sure: this case is bigger than just a trial. It's a litmus test for celebrity accountability, money power, and what happens when the glitter fades behind closed doors. And trust us, we'll be tracking every twist, every leak, every bombshell. If you live for breaking stories, courtroom drama, and raw behind-the-scenes dirt, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell, so you're first in line when the next chapter drops. Is this a true fall from grace, or just another Hollywood heavyweight taking heat? Drop your takes in the comments, and don't keep the tea to yourself. Share it with your crew. This is Adam Gossip, and we'll catch you in the next one.